As many of you have seen by now, the Toronto Blue Jays signed veteran Justin Turner on a one-year $13 million deal to command the DH spot, plugging what seemingly was the last hole on the Jays roster. But his signing has brought along further questions of whether this was the last move of the offseason, because as Jays beat reporter stated, in terms of fit, it's another signing like Kiner Falefa that will look a lot better if there's still something bigger coming at the end of this offseason. But with slim pickings through free agency and how expensive the trade market is nowadays, could the Jays even swing another move this offseason? For starters, we need to look at the budget, because Mark Shapiro stated they will be around the same as in 2023. And with Turner's acquisition, they are $4 million above last year's mark, leaving another move through free agency unlikely, because then they will enter the second tax threshold, which I'm certain Rodgers would not like to exceed. Which means if another move happens, it would most certainly come through trade. And if there is one man who has consistently been brought up as most expendable with IKF signing, it's 2022 All-Star Santiago Espinal. In 2023, he featured in 93 games for the club, hit 2 homers, knocking 25 RBIs, and had a poor slash line giving him just .5 WAR. But for a team needing decent help defensively in the infield, along with a bat that could potentially shine like what we saw during his 2021 season, when he hit over 300 and had an OPS almost reaching 800, then he could be a decent add-on in a trade. Which brings up another question: who in the world would they be looking to acquire? For each position, they already have someone that can take the majority share, along with a few guys who can play all around the diamond. It's tricky, but if I were to say, it would be a third baseman. I know some of you out there might be thinking Turner can take over a bit, but in 2023 he only had 7 starts there and produced -4 outs above average during this time, which would be unacceptable production to have throughout the season. And IKF, to me, and I'm sure to you too, isn't the guy that would get you excited over starting 130 plus games there. That's why it makes the most sense to acquire here, and the man who is a glaringly obvious fit is Ha-Seong Kim. Not only because the Padres have already shown a willingness to part ways with their rental players, but also this season he is only projected to make $7 million. But if we include Espinal, the club will only take on 4.25, bringing the Jays total up to 254. And if they don't want to take on that extra money because they still want some breathing room from the next penalty threshold for a mid-season acquisition, then they could give a little extra in the trade package. Kind of like how the Sox paid $17 million of Sale's $25 million contract to send them to the Braves to get a pretty solid player in Vaughn Grissom. The same principle applies here. But back to it. As mentioned, Espinal would be in this deal, and to add on to him, the Padres want ready now pitching, something they did get in the Juan Soto deal. But if that's still their need, the Jays have some guys that could be of interest, such as Yosser Zulueta, Jays number 10 ranked prospect, Chad Dallas, the number 13, and Bowden Francis, who was unranked last season. I'm not saying it would take all 3 with Espinal, but Kim will definitely cost a pretty penny. After all, in 2023 he produced 5.8 WAR, 17 homers, 58 RBIs, 38 stolen bases, and a mid-700s OPS. Solid numbers, and it would be even more production from the hot corner than what we got from Chappie last season. Not to mention, he is a very elite defensive third baseman, having ranked in the 96th percentile in outs above average in 2023, which would keep the Jays' ideology of being great at preventing runs, something the pitching staff will always be thankful for. To me, Ha-Seong Kim has become my new number 1 guy I want this offseason because of not only his certainty of playing elite defense at third base or his incredible 5.8 WAR. It's more so because he is the best player the Jays could acquire that would keep the pre-outlined budget in check. With all this in mind, what do you think of the Jays' future offseason outlook? Do you think they're all done, or could potentially have one more move in them? And if so, who would you like? Let me know in the comments, and as always, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.